Heading: Attitude. Definition: attitude is a person's positive or negative feelings, beliefs, and evaluations toward an object, person, event, or situation. First point: attitudes influence how individuals think, feel, and behave. Second point: in organizational behavior, attitudes affect employee performance, job satisfaction, and relationships. Heading: Characteristics of attitude. Side heading: Learned nature. First point: attitudes are acquired through experiences, education, and interactions with others. Second point: they are not inherited but developed over time. Side heading: Positive or negative. First point: attitudes can be favorable or unfavorable toward a person, object, or situation. Second point: positive attitudes encourage desirable behavior, while negative attitudes may create problems. Side heading: Consistent nature. First point: attitudes generally remain stable and influence behavior consistently. Second point: however, they can change with new experiences and information. Side heading: Behavioral influence. First point: attitudes affect a person's actions and decisions. Second point: positive attitudes can improve motivation and performance. Side heading: Based on values and beliefs. First point: attitudes are formed from personal values, beliefs, and opinions. Second point: these beliefs shape how individuals respond to situations. Side heading: Changeable nature. First point: attitudes can be modified through learning, communication, and experiences. Second point: organizations can influence employee attitudes through training and motivation. Heading: Components of attitudes. Side heading: Cognitive component. First point: the cognitive component refers to a person's beliefs, thoughts, and knowledge about an object or situation. Second point: it represents what an individual thinks or believes. Side heading: Affective component. First point: the affective component refers to a person's feelings and emotions toward an object or situation. Second point: it represents how an individual feels about something. Side heading: Behavioral component. First point: the behavioral component refers to a person's intention or tendency to act in a particular way. Second point: it represents how an individual behaves or plans to behave. Heading: Functions of attitude. Side heading: Utilitarian function. First point: the utilitarian function helps individuals gain rewards and avoid negative outcomes. Second point: People develop attitudes based on the benefits they receive from certain behaviors. Side heading: Ego defense function. First point. The ego defense function helps individuals protect their self-esteem and reduce feelings of insecurity. Second point. It allows people to defend themselves against threats or negative experiences. Side heading: Value expressive function. First point. The value expressive function allows individuals to express their values, beliefs, and identity. Second point. It helps people communicate what is important to them. Side heading: Knowledge function. First point. The knowledge function helps individuals organize and understand information about the world. Second point. It provides a framework for interpreting situations and making decisions. Heading: Formation of attitude. Definition: Attitude formation is the process through which individuals develop positive or negative feelings, beliefs, and opinions toward people, objects, or situations. Side heading: Personal experience. First point. Personal experiences strongly influence the formation of attitudes. Second point. Positive or negative experiences create favorable or unfavorable attitudes. Side heading: Family influence. First point. Family members influence attitudes through values, beliefs, and behaviors. Second point. Early experiences with family play an important role in shaping attitudes. Side heading: Social groups. First point. Friends, colleagues, and social groups influence an individual's attitudes. Second point. People often develop attitudes based on the opinions and behaviors of others. Side heading: Cultural factors. First point. Culture shapes attitudes through traditions, values, and social norms. Second point. Different cultures may develop different attitudes toward the same situations. Side heading: Learning and education. First point. Education and learning provide knowledge that influences attitudes. Second point. Information received through training, media, and communication can change attitudes. Side heading: Organizational factors. First point. Workplace environment, policies, leadership, and experiences influence employee attitudes. Second point. Positive organizational practices improve employee attitudes toward work. Heading: Measurement of attitude. Definition: Attitude measurement is the process of assessing an individual's feelings, beliefs, and opinions toward an object, person, or situation. Side heading: Likert scale. First point. Likert scale measures attitudes by asking individuals to indicate their level of agreement or disagreement. Second point. Responses are usually measured from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Side heading. Thurston scale. First point. Thurston scale measures attitudes using a set of statements with different levels of favorability. Second point. Individuals select statements that best represent their attitude. Side heading. Semantic differential scale. First point. Semantic differential scale measures attitudes using opposite characteristics. Second point. Example: good, bad, positive, negative, strong, weak. Side heading. Observation method. First point. Attitudes are measured by observing an individual's behavior and actions. Second point. It helps understand actual responses in real situations. Side heading. Interviews and questionnaires. First point. Interviews and questionnaires collect information about people's beliefs and feelings. Second point. They are commonly used to measure employee attitudes in organizations.